There we go. Welcome, everyone. So let's see. We have an interesting agenda tonight, and why don't we just get straight into it? Would we like to, as far as service provider updates, let's go. Do we have anyone from the Sheriff's Office that would like to give us a brief?
Hi, I'm Patty Shalaski, the outreach person for the area. Just like to say hello. And as far as updates, really just remembering that it's the holiday season and those package thefts are increasing. So make sure that you don't leave those on your porches, that we call it the 9 p.m. routine. Just remember to bring things in, have lots of lights on, lock things up, those kinds of items. And we've also seen a lot of catalytic converter thefts, and we're working to perhaps have a co-host to get those marked with people's information on there to kind of help stop that a little bit. So that's something that's coming up as far as thefts go. And then of course, if you ever have any issues with thefts, we like to keep track of all of that. Just make sure that you are letting us know, calling. There are reports that you can do online as well, because we do have some bait items that we can put out there. So if you've had a lot of issues, let me know and we can maybe get something in your neighborhood. So I think that's it for me, unless you have any questions about anything, any concerns.
Does anyone on the line have any questions? Please raise your hand. I'll get you in. Nope. Thank you. Yeah, so that's interesting. So you're starting to like engrave catalytic converters with people's information on it, essentially? Okay. Oh, I think you're muted still.
Sorry about that. Yeah, so they're putting people's driver's license, stamping them, so it makes it less attractive.
Oh, okay.
And then people's information, and that way, yeah, it makes it less likely. So it's a program that's been started recently, and they're working with a Jiffy Lube to kind of, because you have to have a machine that can lift your vehicle up to be doing that kind of stuff.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know about that. So if you're interested in that, check in your local Jiffy Lube or check with the
Sheriff's so they're starting to do those, and it'll be on our website. It will be a great place, and I'd be happy to send that information once we have dates firmed up.
Sounds good. Thanks. All right. I think we have the water district here. Frank, did you want to give an update real quick?
I have a couple quick ones, but I'll make them pretty quick. Right now, we are encouraging people to make sure that they're prepared for winter weather. So, wrap your pipes, disconnect your hoses outside, just do everything that you can to keep your water pipes from freezing. We do have what we call a talking water series that we just had one last month. I'll put the link in the chat, but we had an expert that actually went through and kind of told everybody how to do it. And then on Wednesday, we're having our first talking water in Spanish. So if you know any Spanish speakers that are interested in winter weather prep, send them our way, and that link will also be in the chat as well. Something else that's going on with the water district is we're actually going to pause fluoridation from probably mid to late December through March, because what's happening is there's a critical water main that feeds the district, and it's under construction for the Willamette Water Supply Program. So to actually tie those two things in together, unfortunately, we're going to have to pause fluoridation. So we're sending out information to all of our customers, and I'll also send information about that in the chat as well, but let us know if you have any questions. And then the last thing that I have is that our water rates changed on November 1st. So the fixed and volume charges increased about 14.25%. So we understand that's a lot, but we are in the midst of the generational water supply for the Willamette Water Supply System. So that is the main driver of the change. We have what's called our rate advisory committee that's made up of a lot of different business interests, residential, diversity, just a whole bunch of different people, and they are meeting. I think they have a meeting tomorrow night. So if you're interested in that, visit our website. The recordings are on YouTube, and we do have a way for people to provide input to the rate committee as well. So any questions for me?
Yes, I have a question.
Oh,
right now, the bills that we get from the water district come every other month. Has there been any conversation about monthly billings, particularly with the rate increases?
Yeah, so that is something that we are definitely looking into. It's a lot more complicated than just switching to monthly billing. We do have a whole committee that is really working on that right now. I'm not quite sure what the status is. And we have a few different options where we might do it, but if it, the worst part would be if it just, doubles everything. So it doubles our meter reading costs, and then it doubles our postage and everything. So I'm not quite sure where they're at in that committee, but we definitely have some people looking into it. So I'll be sure to, I'll make a note, and at the next meeting, I'll have either, if I'm here or Andrea, whoever's here, give an update on that.
Thank you.
Yep, no problem. Any other questions? All right, well, thank you.
All right, let's see here. Sorry, I had a brief kid break here. All right, thank you very much. Let's see. Do we have, I see Liana on from THPRD.
Hi there. Good to be here. Just a few quick announcements for you. Wanted to let folks know that for the upcoming No School Days, a good opportunity for older youth is they can train to be a lifeguard. So the Aquatic Center is offering No School Day coaching for students interested in learning to train to become lifeguards. So that's a fun opportunity. We also have some other, some fun stuff coming up for the holidays, letters to Santa. So if you need help getting a letter delivered to Santa, drop off your letter at one of the THPRD Santa mailboxes between November 26th and December 19th, and we'll help your little one get a letter back from Santa. We also do a holiday gift card drive. So this is THPRD's annual gift card drive to benefit Beaverton School District students. That's underway. So please drop off donated gift cards that are from any local stores at a THPRD location for BSD students and families in need. We're accepting donations now through mid-December. We also have basketball registration happening now. The Athletic Center has open registration for basketball leagues. THPRD offers leagues for 5th through 8th grade, high school age, and adults. Last bit of good news just to share is that the West Side Trail pedestrian and bicycle bridge earned Metro funding, some funding to get that project underway. So the Metro Council approved THPRD's West Side Trail bicycle and pedestrian bridge project for a Metro 2019 Parks and Nature Bond Trails grant for more than $1.9 million. So this funding will help with the design and permitting of that bridge. So we're really excited to be awarded that funding. That's all I have in terms of updates, but any questions for me or ways that I can help?
So I have a question.
Yeah.
So is there any timeline for the construction of the bridge across 26?
Great
now
question.
that funding's in place?
Yeah, so that funding is for the design and engineering of the bridge. We're still raising money for, we're still working on funding and putting together additional funding for construction. And then what we're working on right now that's helping towards that effort is we are going to begin a feasibility and planning for the sections of trail that connect to the bridge. So for those of you who might be familiar with that area, there are not active trails that immediately would connect to that bridge or are ready to connect. So we're working on that piece and then also fundraising for the rest of the construction of that bridge. But this is a huge win to be able to get closer to do that. If you all are interested in that project, I am posting news. We are posting news on the West Side Trail project webpage. I'll put that webpage in the chat, actually, just for your reference. Did you have more questions, Mary, as well?
So the two pieces of the trail, both north and south of the freeway.
Mhm.
So you'll be working on the section probably from Cornell to the freeway. It's north of the branch.
It is in that area. Yeah, it would be in that area.
In south, it would be. Do you have any trails between the Sunset Highway and Walker Road? Are there portions?
Sunset Highway and Walker Road.
Yeah,
There are sections of trail where it's connected on the sidewalk. And then there are some sections of trail. This would provide a more continuous path directly to that bridge. A really good resource I can also recommend if you would like to see kind of exactly where those sections are on the map. We have a couple different maps. We have a map that reflects the exact trails that we have currently, as well as a map of planned trails. So where those trails will be connected ultimately. I can share both of those in the chat. So let me share those with everyone in the chat.
Okay,
Those are
great.
really great resources. And I can always answer questions about those too. Unfortunately, I'm not great at just immediately popping off where those trails exist. But those maps should be helpful.
It's such a small district with so few trails. I just can't believe you.
Yeah, right. I know. I hear you. It's funny. But I will put those resources in the chat, and then I'll drop my email in there too. So anyone, feel free to reach out to me. It's always nice to be able to answer those questions as much as possibly directly, instead of hearing that from maybe a local developer or somebody who might not be as familiar with the timelines as we are as a team at THPRD.
Great, thank you.
I'll share those. Thank you for your time.
Did we get Jeannie's question into about the bridge alignment, or?
Oh, I'm sorry. Was there another question maybe in the chat that I missed?
Yeah, no. I was just to raise it if we hadn't. Yeah, Jeannie asks, where will the bridge be aligned? I think this is still the one that just got funding, right, from Metro.
Yeah, also an excellent question. And I will put I'll put that resource in the chat as well, so you can see. I think it'd be more helpful to be able to Jeannie to see it physically in the link. So I'll add that. But I'm going to stick around for a little bit, and again, I'll put my email in. So if those don't help answer questions that you still have, I'm happy to try to answer more.
But the real easy way to look at it is it's in the power line corridor.
Mm-hmm.
So if you actually go on Google Maps, I think the corridor shows up.
It does, yeah.
And imagine where.
Well, and when you drive by, it's
Yeah.
pretty easy to see where it runs to. So
Cool.
Yeah. Thank you, Mary.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Liana. Any other announcements from the community? Anyone running for office? Anyone with a general announcement they'd like to make? Please put your hand up. I'll get you in. All right. Very
Yeah,
good.
I think it'd be good to move on to the Springville project.
Let's go. Our favorite. So yes, thank you. We have a presenter tonight talking about the Springville Road project. Floor is yours.
we need to promote.
We
So
need
Andy,
to, yeah.
Andy
Okay.
Morris, and
Yeah.
I think the question is who besides Andy?
Yeah, Joe Youngkins is on too.
Okay, can everybody hear me okay?
We got
Yeah, Andy, who else would you like to have on screen while you do your presentation?
Anyway, I mean, nobody in particular, really.
Well, no, I'm talking about from Washington County. So do you want Joe Youngkins?
Yeah, you could have
Yvonne?
Melissa and Joe, sure.
Okay.
There we go.
Okay, hi everyone. I'm Andy Morris. I am the project manager with Washington County for the Springville Road Phase 4 project. So tonight, my plan is to talk through the exhibits from the project open house. Hopefully everybody has had a chance to look at the open house. We left it open through today. Everything that we're going to be looking at comes from 50% design or 50% level design. Some of the information I can get through pretty quickly, and some of it will take a little more time and add some detail that was not shown in the open house, or I can talk through it. And I'm hoping we can save questions for the end, but if somebody really wants to jump in, that's fine. And let me share my screen here. I'm going to get started with the cross sections. Everybody see that okay? Maybe not.
Nothing's showing.
How about now?
There you go, Andy. You're on
Okay.
board.
Good. Okay. So in the last open house, we ran through a number of different cross sections that went to the board, and there's 3 segments in the project, which we'll look at here. But the Board of County Commissioners looked through the design alternatives and made a recommendation, and that is what we are moving forward with. We'll start with Springville Road, and this is from Concordia to PCC. And to save time too, I'll just say right now that all the travel lanes are narrow at 11.5 feet with a 13-foot center turn lane. And the only place that deviates on the center turn lane is across that east culvert between Samuel and Joss. It'll narrow there to 4 feet in the center. And again, also consistently through all these 3 sections, it would be a 7-foot buffered bike lane. So on the first piece, Concordia to the east line of PCC. On the north side, we're going to continue with the 10-foot shared use path that we had in the Springville project, phase 2, I guess, to the west. On the south side, we're going with a 6-foot sidewalk, separated by a landscape strip. The next section, kind of the pinch point, be around Samuel, a couple 100 feet either side of it. On the north side, as you're working to the east, the 10-foot shared use path would drop down to an 8-foot sidewalk with a significant retaining wall on the north side of the road. On the south side of the road, we'd maintain the 6-foot sidewalk without a landscape strip. Moving on to the east, away from Samuel, and this is across the east culvert and working up towards Joss. The 8-foot, we have an 8-foot walk on either side. This 8-foot walk will carry across, say, the limits of the existing wall that's out there now, and then we would tie back into the existing sidewalks that run up to Joss. Jump onto the project aerial. Give this a second to load. There we go. Okay, so I'll just kind of hit the high points. Starting at Concordia here and working to the east, we're coming down, and there's an existing couple culverts here that are undersized now. This is going to be those culverts are going to be replaced with an 8-foot wide, 4-foot deep box culvert. In the bottom of the culvert, you're going to have roughly 1.5 feet of stream bed backfill. ODFW designated this stretch of tributary right here to Bethany Creek as being needing to be fish passable. Walls on either side of that culvert. As we move down, you can see the 10-foot shared use path, and we're making connections back into the existing THPRD PCC paths there. Working down to the east, we're at 173rd here, and there's an existing rectangular rapid flashing beacon. The road obviously is going to get significantly wider here. So we'll add a refuge island in the middle, but the enhanced crossing will stay. Moving further down. So we're looking at Samuel here to the south.
Wait, Andy, this is Jeff Petrillo. Could you
Sure.
scroll back just a little bit
Sure.
and explain the what will happen to the existing trees on the north side that are part of the PCC campus or the park system there?
Sure.
There's those semi-mature trees or mature trees there. I think.
Yeah, the front row of maples right now that are on the back side of that ditch they would all be removed with this project. In that landscape strip that runs along this frontage, we would be putting new street trees in.
Thanks.
We'll talk about trees, I guess, too, as we move down here. There are some significant firs on the south side here coming up to Samuel that are right along the existing ditch. And right now, the plan is to remove them. Everything, the ones that are inside the right of way anyhow. So it's Samuel here across from it, the significant wall I mentioned earlier. This is going to be a soldier pile wall that goes in here, and it's going to be upwards of 10 feet tall. The crossing here shown at Samuel is shown here to be a marked crossing, and it should not be. It will not be marked with this piano key style or bars. There are not plans to do an enhanced crossing at this location. As we move down to the east, we have again another box culvert on Bethany Creek, and this one's larger. It'd be 10 feet wide, 4 feet deep again. And this is we're looking at 25 to 30 feet of excavation to get down and replace the existing culvert with a fish passable one. Reusing the blocks from the wall on the north, on the south side, we would just build the embankment out slightly. A less expensive option. And then as we keep moving up to the east, we run into a new signal at the Joss 165th intersection. So with these culverts, having a hard time getting. We're going to have closures, 2 separate closures. The closures, essentially the detour route, which will be signed the entire way, follows 185th, West Union, Bethany, Kaiser. The first culvert planned for replacement would be the west one down by Concordia. Closures you'd be looking at working around, obviously, the public schools PCC summer term, but with the fish passable portion of this job and permitting, we will be required to do all the in-water work between July 15th and September 30th. And unfortunately, there is too much work that needs to happen to get both of the culverts done inside of that in-water work window. There's also, we're dealing with settlement issues too with the existing soil. So we'll need to load it and let it settle. In particular, actually this westerly culvert. So during the closure, both of the closures, I mean, we will not just be working at the closure site itself at the culvert. We'll be getting as much done as we can around there with significantly reduced traffic. We will work with TriMet. We already have been talking to them, and as far as getting riders around. Obviously, the service providers, police, fire, and ambulance will all be made aware of it, and then we will run this through ODOT trip check, which will give, which should update everybody's GPS that's traveling through that area. I'll jump to the schedule real quick. Obviously, we're a little past the 50% design. Comments are back. Back to the designer, and we're moving towards 90% plans, and 90 should be ready. They should be complete around February, the end of February of 2023. And then the 100% plans, we would be looking at September of 2023. And then bidding winter of 23-24, and then starting construction, I would say in late spring. There'd be work we could get done ahead of the culverts. Something else I should probably add in here too with the trees is early tree removal. My plan would be to bid the tree removal project wide separate ahead of the actual contract construction starting. There's a few reasons for that. One being permitting with the Migratory Bird Act. So we need to have those out, anything that they could nest in out, removed ahead of the middle of March. Second reason to do the tree removal early is we get professional tree remove contractors. So I guess that's kind of it. And if people have questions, we can jump back to different drawings. And
could you go to the Samuel section?
sure. Right here.
Yeah, and I think there's somebody with a question.
I cannot see the question.
No, I'm sorry. They're putting their hand up. Andy, could you elevate or recognize them? I think it's Pat Christensen or Larry Christensen.
I am not sure how I do that.
Well, no, I'm sorry.
I got it. Yep.
Or Andrew.
Pat, you should be able to talk.
Yeah. Pat or Larry, are you there? You have to unmute.
I've asked Pat to unmute, but let's see. Just in general, if anyone has any questions, put your hand up. Now's the time. Pat, we can't hear you if you're trying to speak. Oh, there we go. Unmuted. You should be able to speak now.
Hello, Larry, Pat.
Nothing heard. Okay. Cool. Well, this looks interesting. So is there still on the picture you're showing right now, is there going to be a crossing at all, or there's just not going to be an enhanced crossing?
There will be a crossing, yeah.
Okay, but not an enhanced one. Okay.
Yeah, right now I'm showing the north-south crossing on the east side of Samuel. That could change. It's it's harder to meet. It's really difficult to meet ADA requirements on the west side of that intersection.
It's pretty steep, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it won't be an enhanced crossing, but I will add that, you know, obviously they're gonna have bike lanes now, you're gonna have sidewalks, and there'll be street lighting throughout the area. So it'll be a much safer area to cross than it is now, but obviously we would encourage people to use the signal at Joss and the RRFB down at 173rd.
Nice. Yeah, the signal at Joss is gonna be nice. Mary, you have your hand up.
I do have my hand up. So Andy, can you describe what a soldier pile retaining wall is and how that's different from other retaining walls that we may be familiar with?
Sure. A soldier pile retaining wall is it starts off with an augured hole, and then the augured hole is filled with concrete, and set in the concrete is like an H beam or an I beam, and between those I beams, it's this big wood timber gets dropped in there, and those are then set in there, and then a concrete face is put across the front.
So is it similar to the walls that are on Bethany Boulevard between the freeway and West Union?
I think what you're thinking of there is like those are sound walls, right?
Yeah.
So
Okay.
we get a lot of traffic through here.
The
But why have they eliminated the lighted crossing on there like we originally talked about in the sound wall?
the soldier pile wall,
Yeah,
uh,
I think those are
It-
two major issues.
Let's see. I think Pat is coming
Okay,
through here.
alright.
so-
Yeah, I think so. Pat is finally coming.
Okay, just
Okay.
muted for a second.
all
Good.
right. Well, the soldier pile wall is it's a retaining wall, so it will actually retain the soil to the north. And
Okay.
they're
Okay.
it's a less intrusive wall as far as the excavation behind it than say a block wall with tiebacks, and it will be faced most likely with a stone type finish on the roadside of it.
So it might have more the look of the sound walls.
Yeah, I think if I remember right, those ones on Bethany have more of a river rock, but I could be wrong. But yeah, similar to the stone facing, let's say at the culverts at Bethany Lake.
Okay.
Nice. Pat, did you have a question?
Actually, Pat and Larry called me, and so
Oh.
I'm gonna relay their question or
Okay.
concerns. The first one was the crossing that you just mentioned at Samuel. And they were mentioning that in earlier conversations, the community requested that be an enhanced beacon flash type crossing, and is wondering why that enhancement is not included here.
That has gone through our traffic engineering, and I will have to get back to you with a formal response on why.
Okay. And then related to that, I think was the argument or the position of residents on that south side is because the site distance looking west, whether you're crossing north or whether you're crossing to the south, when you look to the west, my understanding is that the elevation changes aren't going to be significant enough to create much more sight distance than what exists today. And at the speed that cars travel, and with the additional lane, the crossing without enhancement, I think, is what people were saying is, and because this is a ped bike connection with THRP's Ben Graff Trail up to the park, that this is like a missing piece. So they're arguing for consideration of enhancement, is what I heard.
Okay, well, I can tell you that, I mean, the site distance will meet the 40 mile an hour the safety design. the intersection at Samuel, it will actually come up onto Springville more and get you up, and that's why you see the improvements drawn here coming back to the south. Something else I probably point out too is, with a new signal at Joss there, that's going to create breaks in traffic too. That's going to make it easier to cross the road. Different than it is now, I guess.
And the second question or concern they voiced was, and I guess really wanted information about why no sound mitigation on the south side, where there's 4 houses that will be impacted and or are impacted now, but will be continue to be impacted.
Well, I'll start by pointing out that the actual travel way really of the motorists won't get any closer to those homes. So there shouldn't be any significant difference in traffic noise.
In terms of it's not coming any closer to the south.
No, it's not actually
That section.
Yeah, I mean, if that sidewalk that's shown now in the drawing, it's kind of hard to see, but it's almost a full sidewalk width moving to the north. So that sidewalk actually moves away, but the edge of pavement as it is now and where cars are traveling now is going to be virtually the same location. If this was I think people are familiar that at one point this section of roadway on the county's transportation system plan was shown as a 5-lane road and went down to 3. If it was the other way around and these homes were built and the roadway was a 3-lane section and we changed it to a 5, that would trigger looking at installing sound walls.
Well, there's other residents either in our community and of course their neighbors as attendees. So folks, if you have questions, now's the time.
If you have a question, just put your hand up and I'll let you talk. No problem. Now's the time. Okay.
Not seeing any hand, I would like to ask Andy Morris to, Andy, could you show because there's 13 families affected to the south. Can you show what happens with this blue hatch path or easement? Because it brings new traffic into our community from one more house, I guess. Is there a section that shows that?
Yeah, no, I'm going to jump into the plans here and I can get to it fairly quickly.
And it also
Here it is.
Geneopolis may have a concern or just comment on it.
Yeah, so Geneopolises are here on the west side, and the blue hatching shown in that last project aerial is this hatched here. And that's the existing driveway that comes out right at Samuel. We cannot get the ADA access across Samuel legally, a legal access or crossing for them with this driveway there. And obviously that creates a safety issue having a driveway immediately adjacent to Samuel. So what we're showing doing now is removing that section of driveway and bringing that property owner in, come down Samuel, and I believe this is called Elwood, this little stub out like for future, and wrapping them back in here. So yes, it would be one more person using Samuel.
Thank you for showing that.
Sure.
I think there's a written comment in the chat from Geneopolis. Andrew Lampkin, could you verbalize that? I can't access it really easily.
Let's see. It says, we have continually said that the driveway should access Samuel in front of the property as was intended when the house was permitted.
Yeah, that is something that I have looked into, and I can take another run at it, but I cannot find anywhere that the property owner was conditioned to make a connection with Samuel.
Has that, Andy Morris, has that property owner been contacted? Have you been in communication with them
Yeah, I have.
about what they're?
Yeah, he's excited not to have it the driveway where it's at now on Springville.
Well, anything else, folks? These Zoom meetings are not ideal for public participation, in my opinion. And I should say, with Andy Morris, and I've also communicated to the county commissioners about it, is the open house format online for whatever number of days it is also, I don't think, effective way to have public participation. One is, everyone has asked me, like, well, what's the detail on it? And you have to like download the overview and then hope your computer has enough computing to basically open up what's almost a CAD file to look down at the micro level. And versus when you do it in person, like if we were doing it at the church up the street, we'd have it up on, we have it up on easels and broken into sections, and people could say, oh, that's my section. I can see what's proposed, even though, and I want Andy to clarify this, this is 50%. And so there's no final lines really, correct?
That's correct. I mean, it's the footprint itself is set. It's there'll be small tweaks as we move along, but we're real close, as footprint wise, as far as right of way is concerned, and what we need for permanent right of way acquisitions and what we need for easements. So, I mean, as far as like a culvert changing or moving a sidewalk away from being against the curb and adding a planter, I think that those are unlikely to change at this point.
I think Melissa, your colleague, is wanting to speak.
Sure.
Yeah, hi, thanks, Jeff. Just wanted to address just comments about the online open house format, and not in disagreement. I think that there are a lot of drawbacks to online open houses. However, our intention was never to have 100% online open houses. We created the online open house format in fall of 2019 because we wanted to make sure that we were being transparent and accessible to all of our constituencies. And the constituency that we are missing with the in-person is the young families with kids who have soccer and homework and baths. And then I'm also going to say the constituency like me, who once I finally get home from work, it will take a bomb to get me out of the house. So there's all of that. So the plan was,
and there's COVID. I mean,
well, I'm getting there. We haven't even gotten to COVID. This is before COVID and after COVID and well, during COVID. But the plan originally, and going forward, it's will be, I guess, honing it a little bit. But the goal was, for a project like this, we have on average 3, let's say, open houses. And the thought was, in that series of open houses for like a 3 open house project, one of those would be online. The other 2 would be in person.
Well, good. I'm glad to know at least that was the plan. And it
That was
was
the plan. And we
and-
are also, I mean, from a communications and engagement standpoint, we're fine to go in person when we can.
Yeah.
There are some challenges though that we didn't have before. And one of those challenges is the availability of locations, because a lot of places that we had gone traditionally have, kind of cut back and things like that as far as
right. And,
availability.
and-
So
and-
there are some challenges. It's not quite as simple as, saying, okay, let's go. I mean, there's a
No,
little bit
no,
more to
I
that.
should say, I should could clarify, my comments to county commissioners was that in January 2023, notwithstanding a subvariant, I really think the county needs to consider going back as much to whatever its plans were for in-person. And I realize that's not practical until probably January at the earliest.
Yes.
And secondarily, I think what has also happened is COVID has created an aging out in retirement and early retirements across LUTs, departments or sub-departments. And so we also realize that just, this takes staff to do these.
Well, I'll tell you, from a staff workload perspective, it's different staff groups. But the online open house, like for the communications staff, I will tell you, is way more work. And for the project managers, it's like a different kind of work, because they get more questions to answer in writing, because at the in-person open house, the experience is much different. They answer questions verbally. But the thing is, I mean, we have had way more measurable participation online than we have had in person. That doesn't make them better.
Yeah, but for road design, it gets a little different versus
Yes,
in general.
but I mean,
and there is another question. So I do appreciate that, Melissa. I don't want to usurp Andrew Lampkin's authority here, but one of the chat's comments is for Andy Morris is there a real reason that the storm drain lines are under the roadway in lieu of under a sidewalk or so? I'm not sure. They're traversing both underground, aren't they? The roadway. I'm not understanding the question.
Why the storm line is running down the road and not inlet to inlet off the side.
Okay.
That some of that has to do with getting around utilities, some of its existing footprint, but it's this storm system will end up when we're done, it will be owned and maintained by Clean Water Service. So, and they are, a lot of what I've seen recently is they are liking the storm main itself to be in the road and not go from inlet structure to inlet structure off of the curb.
And then somebody's asked about what fish are actually traveling under the road and where are they going?
Well, on the west one, I couldn't tell you. It's cutthroat trout is what last I heard, and they don't necessarily, like, let's say the one at Concordia and ODF's mine, they don't need to actually be there today, but if they were traditionally there, it's all the development over the last 100 or so years. We put in barriers for these fish. And I've been a part of quite a few bridges and culverts at the county, and when you make the improvements, the wildlife does come back.
There is Larry Christensen is on, but Larry, I don't know if you have audio or if you're looking.
I do, Jeff.
Okay, so Larry, you're elevated already, so go ahead.
The thing that I was considering, I'm getting feedback. Hold on just a minute.
Like the shell thing, and it's really, it's pop up on the 18th, so it's not.
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Okay, am I there? All right. One of the things that I was concerned about, Andy, is we had talked about that crossing going across Springville Road. For some reason, I get a lot of feedback here.
Larry, we can hear you. Continue.
Okay, the thing that we're concerned about is with this road down in the lower part of our subdivision and that, the bridge net that was just recently completed here a couple of years ago, and we're on the bike path as well as walking paths. This gets a lot of usage today. And with this improvement that you're putting in on Josh with the traffic signal that may help stop traffic in between heading from Josh Road over to the college. But when it gets dark at night, people aren't going to see people walking across that section to go into the north subdivision and walk into the ballparks and things like that. I really think that this needs to have a lighted situation like is further east on the roadway. That seems to be real productive, and it's real easy to see people crossing in the evening. And I think it would be very beneficial for the people using that to be able to have that a lighted walkway in there.
Okay, I will say I will get a formal response out of traffic engineering. As far as lighting's concerned, I know what you're talking about. The flashing light gets people's attention, but we will, that intersection will be lit with street lights, similar to what you see on the recent projects either side of this one.
Okay, because right now the only street light is basically on the north side of the entry to Samuel Drive, and that isn't enough to light that designated crosswalk area on the south side of be on the east side of Samuel Drive.
Okay, well, they're probably hard to see on this drawing here, but there's actually three. There's a light on either side of Samuel and then one across.
Oh, okay.
And so with this'll, the spacing of the lighting from what you're seeing here, it could change slightly. There's a lighting engineer and that will look at the photometrics of it and make sure that there's sufficient lighting.
The other thing that, having developed subdivisions in the past myself, I know that the 4 houses that are in the Graff Meadows subdivision right now that are going to back Springville Road and that, as the traffic continues to build from the development that's basically going in north of us and that, and with the condos that are being put in or the fourplexes that are going to put in, we know that it's not going to get any less on that road. It's going to continue to get more and more all the time. And that's why we had suggested putting a sound wall across the north side of Graff Meadows subdivision. And I'm concerned as to the residents. I don't live on that area, but I live within the subdivision, and I know what the noise level is going to do. It's going to continue to go up. And for the people that are living in our homeowners association, I think with due respect and that to them and that, it would be only appropriate to put a sound wall across that area.
So we've looked at traffic counts and traffic count, predicted in the future. There is an increase, but we're actually, if I remember right, when Shackelford goes in and connects out to 185th, if I remember right, they're actually expected to go down on Springville.
That's understandable, but we've been hearing this for over 10 years.
As
how
far
many units have gone in that area, in the last 4 years, and that I think there's somewhere in the neighborhood of about 3,500 units that have gone in there in the last 4 years.
Yeah, as the future of Shackelford Road would be that'd be the Washington County planning. I don't have any control over that.
But you do have control over this.
I do.
And all we're saying is help us out here.
Andy, do you want me to chime
Sure.
in here if you don't mind?
Go ahead.
To kind of answer the question, unless the road is gaining additional travel lanes based on the county's noise policy, there would not be sound walls added to a project. So that's kind of the short version of it. But there is no really addition of travel lanes. It was a 3-lane, actually a 5-lane road at one time when the houses, some of the houses were constructed. And now it's only a 3-lane. And so unless an additional travel lane is being built or travel lanes that would add capacity, there won't be noise walls. I hope that kind of might not answer your question, the response side of it, but that's really what the policy is based on.
So we need to prove otherwise.
It isn't a matter, it's a matter of, are there additional lanes being added, which brings additional capacity. If it's a 3-lane road, its capacity is going to be limited to X number of cars per hour. And that's what was originally there. We're not adding capacity.
Is there anybody else? Oops. Yeah, I'm unmuted. Is there anyone else with questions or comments, verbally or written, that to share or to present to the staff? If not, I guess Andy, Lampkin, it's back to you.
Okay, yeah, I think our last topic, we have 2 minutes. So the last topic was just on the matter of CPO officers and staff. I think there's the matter of next year. So if there are any interested peoples out there on the line or listening to this, please do get in touch with us. If anyone would like to volunteer for a position or would like to nominate themselves, right? I think this is our election meeting, so please do put your hand up and let us know. I'll give a couple minutes there and then wrap up.
Andrew, I think one of the things that needs to be stated is if we do not have officers, we will not have a CPO7. CPO7 will go dark, which means no Facebook, no monthly meetings, no agendas. You know, it just, we need people to step forward if people want to have a CPO.
Yeah, I will say it's been an enjoyable time here. I've appreciated, you know, the opportunities that CPO7 has brought to us, and it's always I really enjoy learning about these projects and everything else. So I certainly hope others feel the same way. And the only reason I'm stepping down from the chair role is just with 2 children now and, you know, full time. It's
No,
it's really difficult. So
it's 2 years, and we thank you for that service.
Absolutely kept the lights on as best I could, and I think we got lots of good work done in the meantime. So yeah.
So yes, thank you, Andrew. And you've done a great job during a really difficult time to try to have meetings, what with COVID. So absolutely, you've stepped in when we really needed the help.
So thanks all. So why don't we do this? I'll turn our county presenters back. Thank you very much. And thanks for your time. If anyone else is on the line and interested in participating in your CPO, stick around. We'll roll into kind of our steering committee meeting here. If not, that's okay. We thank you for your interest and have a good evening.
Can I ask Andy Morris or to provide a contact email or phone number? The online open houses is sort of a, you know, a generic email that it'd be useful. People maybe
Sure.
didn't bring something up tonight, might want to ask you something specific about their frontage or their community.
Sure, I'll drop my email in the chat here.
Great.
If
Thank
somebody
you.
wants me to come out and meet them in person too, I can do that and bring a set of plans, and I can really nail down what the impacts of the project look like.
Nice. Yeah, thanks for offering that. And just
Thanks, Andy.
Sure.
Okay, so Andrew, you said we're going to move into steering committee, correct?
yeah, let me just make sure I get my fellow Andrew's message out here to everyone before I. Oh, the 1-year-old's attacking the keyboard. Hang on. Ah, okay. That should be out to everyone.
Got it.
Yeah. Cool.
Okay.
Yeah, thanks. So again, stick around if you're interested in your CPO and filling a role. And have a good evening, everyone.
Thank you.
Good night.
Good night.
Thank you, Melissa.
All right. It's cool to see where Springville's headed.
Yeah, is this what we're down to here?
Yeah, this is it.
Oh my God.
Well, let's see. Everyone.
Well, Mary, I said if it ever came down to it, I had to run the meeting, I'm going to do it out of a bar, but
I'm just making everyone able to talk.
Sure.
Okay, there we go. Everyone should be able to talk, so join in if you'd like. Well, yeah, bar. Well, I don't know. There's a few good bars around, I guess.
Yeah. No, I mean, Mary, I can't step up, and I just don't know. I mean, you know, I don't know what the next step is. Maybe it needs to be a planning meeting with some interested folks. I'd be willing to participate in the meeting, but I'm not prepared to step up as a.
We just haven't had anybody nibble